Last night, somewhere in the world, someone woke up at 3 a.m., certain something was sitting on their chest. They couldn't move, they couldn't scream, and for one terrifying second, they were sure it was real. This isn't rare. It happens to people in every country, every culture, every century. And ancient humans had an explanation for it that has survived, almost unchanged, for thousands of years. Today, when you have a nightmare, you might call it stress, or too much screen time, or that show you watched right before bed. Ancient humans believed something else. They believed a nightmare wasn't happening inside your head. They believed it was happening to you. The word nightmare itself comes from this belief. Mare is an old word for a demon, a creature said to sit on a sleeping person's chest at night, pressing the air out of their lungs while they lay frozen, unable to move or cry out. The mare didn't represent the bad dream. The mare caused it. This exact experience appears across cultures that had no contact with each other. In Newfoundland, it was called being hag-ridden, visited by the old hag. In Japan, it was Kanashibari, bound by metal. In medieval Europe, it was an incubus or succubus sitting on the sleeper. Different names, different demons, the same paralyzing terror described almost identically on every continent. The oldest written record of this fear comes from ancient Mesopotamia, more than 3,000 years ago. Babylonian and Assyrian priests compiled a text called the Iškar Zaqīqu, the series of the dream god, listing hundreds of dreams and what each one meant. Nightmares were not random. They were messages, sometimes warnings from the gods, sometimes attacks from hostile spirits sent by an enemy. If a Babylonian woke up from a nightmare, they didn't just shake it off. They recited a specific incantation, sometimes burned herbs by the bed, sometimes wore an amulet carved with the face of the demon Pazuzu, believed to be powerful enough to scare off the very demons that caused nightmares in the first place. They fought fire with fire. In ancient Egypt, dreams were taken just as seriously. The Egyptians believed dreams were messages sent directly by the gods, and they kept an actual reference guide, the dream book, describing what specific dream images meant, written more than 3,000 years ago. If the dreams were bad enough, people would travel to a temple and sleep there on purpose, hoping the gods would send a better dream while they were inside sacred walls. The ancient Greeks believed something even stranger, that during sleep, your soul could leave your body entirely. A nightmare could mean your soul was under attack while it wandered. The poet Homer wrote that dreams entered the world through one of two gates, true dreams through a gate of horn, false and deceiving ones through a gate of ivory. You never knew in the moment which gate yours had come through. This belief explains something many cultures shared independently, the fear of waking someone too suddenly from a nightmare. If the soul was still out wandering, a sudden shock could trap it outside the body. Or worse, the person might wake up only halfway, caught between the dream world and the real one. In North America, the Ojibwe people had their own answer. They wove a small web inside a hoop, hung above where a person slept. Good dreams, the belief said, would pass safely through the holes in the web. Bad dreams would get tangled and trapped, destroyed by the morning light before they could ever reach the sleeper. Today, you probably know it as a dreamcatcher. Here is the part that should genuinely surprise you. Modern science now has an explanation for the demon on the chest experience that shows up in nearly every one of these ancient accounts. It's called sleep paralysis. During REM sleep, the stage where you dream the most vividly, your brain shuts off voluntary movement in your muscles. This is called atonia, and it exists for a good reason. It stops you from physically acting out your dreams. But sometimes, your consciousness flickers back on a few seconds before your body does. You wake up, your mind is alert, your body will not move. In that gap, your brain, still partly in a dream state, often generates a hallucination of a threatening presence in the room. Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, is already highly active from REM sleep. Combine total paralysis with a vivid, threatening hallucination and a flood of fear chemicals, and you get exactly the experience described for thousands of years. Something sitting on your chest, holding you down, and you cannot move or scream. Every culture on Earth independently encountered the same biological glitch, and every culture invented its own demon to explain it. The Babylonians called it a spirit sent by an enemy. The Norse called it a mare. The Ojibwe built a web to catch it before it arrived. They were not wrong that something real was happening. They simply didn't have the word neuroscience yet. Tonight, if you wake up at 3 a.m. and feel something pressing down on your chest, you'll probably know, somewhere in the back of your mind, that it's just sleep paralysis. But for a few seconds, frozen, wide awake, unable to move, you might understand exactly what people felt 3,000 years ago. The fear hasn't changed in 3,000 years, only the explanation has.